I want to actually dedicate this reading to my cat, Henry. He um, he died the day that this anthology came out, and it was just the most amazing blessing to me to receive this anthology later that day and sort of feel somewhat consoled through what felt inconsolable. So thank you for all of your poems and sort of helping me through my grief with Henry. He was a gorgeous tabby cat with little white paws, and think about him every day. So this first poem is called Tour of Grief. And you all may remember that there was an orca who carried her calf for 17 days after the calf died, and over like 1,000 miles. And the scientists were calling the journey the Tour of Grief, and that was referenced frequently in news sources. So, Tour of Grief. All 17 days the orca wore her dead like a crown, sorrow riling to a bob and weave, knocking her hollow. What water and womb could no longer carry, she had to carry. We watched through binoculars as if distance were real, as if we were not also tottering on the head of an exhausted, grieving mother, as if we were not also becoming too cumbersome, too heavy to bear. The next poem is called Because Deathbolts Illuminate the Wonderstorm. My first two poems are sad, and I have one more after this that's not sad. Because Deathbolts Illuminate the Wonderstorm. Cruel the highway that took the dogs. I've seen its shoulders convulse gently in the crying of nightfall. The way a teenaged girl can be both vicious and vulnerable. It doesn't like what it has done, and I don't like to say it. Sometimes I hold a kaleidoscope to my beloved's eye and ask him to never look at anything again but me. How can I trust a world that hasn't yet honored the softness in his pupil? Is it possible to protect those we love, to protect anyone? I plant plum trees in his heart. I devour his fruits to the pit. Love is sometimes a stay against insanity. The dogs, it was my fault. Trying to help, I scared them into the rush. I live it over and over, the way a body can spill like sunlight from its skin. And the final poem is called There's a Brightness Folded into Every Bird. And this is a poem that's based on Attar's Conference of the Birds. And if you're familiar with that, there are 7 valleys. And this is based on the Valley of Quest. And it's a group of birds that are flying and seeking their spiritual leader. And in the book, they're independent and interdependent at the same time. So they're like a single bird, but they're also multiple birds all at the same time. There's a brightness folded into every bird, but the bird doesn't know it. The bird is 30 birds who soared out of dreaming to invent sky. 30 birds flying in the formation of a bird. God tells them, open, O moonbeak, O silver black, O sliver of luck. And the bird says, break me until I'm whole. God says, empty, and the bird spills a splendor of jewels from their 30 beaks into the valley. Don't think I'm a diamond, God says. Find me, and hands the bird a map back to the inside of its own bone, then disappears. But the bird doesn't understand the question. 30 birds split into 1,000 that search under everything: stone, fabric, sun face, gold, until they find no God. Now the beak yells, take me, I have no reason. And an arch of wing lifts sun up towards the light. And a thump under the chest answers yes, and yes, and yes. and yes. Thank you.